My girlfriend went on a girls' trip and left me bleeding in the ICU. Then I showed her what it actually means to not be able to get your money back. Okay, read it. Get ready, because just thinking about this one makes my blood pressure go up. I'm finally ready to tell you everything. And believe me, the end is worth it. I'm Johnny, and I'm 32 years old. I work as a project manager for one of Chicago's top commercial construction companies. For 11 years, I've been doing this. I started off as a grunt hauling rebar at 21 and worked my way up through every certification and license you can think of. I make a lot of money, a lot. We're talking about a base salary of $147,000 plus bonuses that bring my total to over $180,000 in a good year. I don't mean to boast, but this is important to remember later when you see how this woman treated me like I was trash. For 2 years, I had been dating Mia. I met her at a birthday celebration for a buddy. I thought she was the prettiest woman I'd ever seen. 5 feet 6 inches tall, with long dark hair and green eyes that looked different in different lights. Her laugh was so funny that you wanted to keep making jokes simply to hear it again. She worked as a receptionist at a dentist's office and made around $38,000 a year, which was fine. When it came to relationships, I never worried about money. What was important to me was loyalty, respect, and being there when it mattered. The first 6 months were pretty good. She paid attention to me, showed me love, and sent me nice texts all day long. I thought I had won the lottery. The problem started about 8 months after she moved in. Even though those hours paid for everything, she'd still moan about them. She would get mad when I was too exhausted to go out after working for 12 hours. She began to say things about how her friends' boyfriends were always around. Then the money issues started to show up. It was her automobile at first. She had been driving a 2011 Corolla that was in bad shape. That's fair. But instead of getting anything useful, she fell in love with a brand new, fully outfitted Mazda CX-5. $34,000 to get out the door. I co-signed because she couldn't get financing on her own. Then she couldn't pay, so I started paying for those too. She said, just $489 a month until I get back on my feet. She never got back on her feet. Spoiler alert, Mia didn't pass any of the 3 tests. Loyalty, respect, or showing up. Nothing for 3. After 8 months, we moved in together. My name is on everything in my flat and on my lease. She failed the credit check. Some old collections from a Victoria's Secret card that she forgot about. I paid the $2,400 rent each month. I paid for her $489 Mazda CX-5 vehicle payment because she just had to have it. I paid for the food, the furnishings, the $1,200 Louis Vuitton duffel bag she wanted for Christmas, and the insurance. I was making a life for myself. She was creating a way of life. But I didn't notice it back then. Love makes you dumb. Mark, my friend, tried to warn me. Mark is in charge of me. 5 years of working with me. The guy looks like a bear that learnt how to use heavy machinery. 6 feet 4 inches, 260 pounds. Speaks mostly in grunts and hand signals on the job site. But off the clock, he's the most loyal friend I've ever had. His wife Sarah treats me like family. Mark never liked Mia. He'd watch her scroll through her phone while I cooked dinner. Watch her pile shopping bags by the door while complaining about how stressed she was. And he'd just shake his head. That girl's got champagne taste on a tap water contribution, he said once after she'd complained about the restaurant I picked for her birthday. I told him he was being harsh. He told me I was being blind. Turns out Mark's got 20/20 vision. March 14th, a Tuesday. We were 3 weeks out from completing a 12-story mixed-use building downtown. $47 million project. My baby. I'd been managing this thing for 18 months and we were ahead of schedule and under budget. The client loved me. My boss was already talking about a promotion. I was on the 8th floor doing a walkthrough with the structural engineer when it happened. A rigging cable snapped on the crane above us. 4 tons of steel beam swung loose like a pendulum. I heard the cable sing before I saw the beam. I shoved the engineer out of the way and took the hit myself. The beam pinned me against a concrete pillar. I heard my ribs crack before I felt them. My left leg twisted at an angle. Legs aren't supposed to twist. I remember looking down and seeing bone. Then I blacked out. I woke up in the ICU at Northwestern Memorial. Tubes everywhere. Chest drain. For lines. A cast on my leg that went from my toes to my hip. The doctor said I was lucky to be alive. For broken ribs, a shattered tibia, internal bleeding, and my spleen was so damaged they weren't sure if they'd have to remove it. Lucky, right? Mia showed up about 4 hours after I got out of surgery. She was wearing a floral sundress, bright colors, happy patterns, the kind of outfit you wear to a brunch, not to watch your boyfriend breathe through a machine. She sat in the plastic chair next to my bed and scrolled through her phone for 20 minutes before she even looked at me. When she finally spoke, her voice had that tone, that impatient, I have somewhere better to be tone. If you're just gonna lie there and sleep, Johnny, I might as well be useful somewhere else. I tried to sit up. The broken ribs on my left side screamed so loud my vision went white. I slumped back, gasping, gripping the metal bed rail until my knuckles went pale. Useful, I managed to croak. My throat felt like I'd swallowed broken glass from the intubation tube they'd pulled out an hour earlier. I'm in the ICU, Mia. I have a tube in my chest. They haven't even decided if they're keeping my spleen yet. And that's awful, babe. It really is. She stood up and smoothed out her dress. But Olivia is falling apart. You know how she gets when she's alone. She's been crying for 3 days straight since Todd left her. She needs this trip. We need this trip. A trip? I repeated. The morphine was making my head swim, but the rage was cutting through the fog like a hot knife. You're going to Cabo today. It's not just a trip, Johnny. It's a mental health retreat, and we paid $3,000 each for those tickets. It's non-refundable. Do you know how much money that is? I make that in a week. I shot back, though, but it lacked the sting I wanted because I wheezed halfway through. I pay the rent. I pay your car note. And you're worried about $3,000 while I'm lying here connected to a chest tube? She rolled her eyes. Actually rolled them like I was the one being unreasonable. Don't make this about money. That's so low. This is about loyalty. Olivia has been there for me through everything. I can't just abandon her because you had an accident. An accident? A steel beam swung loose and pinned me against a concrete wall. Mia, I didn't trip over a curb. I know. She threw her hands up, exasperated. And I've been here for 4 hours. I brought you your charger. I spoke to the doctor. He said you're stable. Stable means you're fine. You're just gonna lay here and heal. I can't heal your bones by staring at you. She checked her phone. A text popped up. Probably Olivia waiting in the Uber downstairs. Look, she said, her voice softening into that fake customer service tone she used when she wanted something. I'll be back in 5 days. That's it. Less than a week. By the time I get back, you'll probably be discharged and we can watch movies at home. Your mom is only an hour away if you really need something. She hates me, I said flatly. She doesn't hate you. She just thinks you're intense. She gathered her purse. My money is in the Louis Vuitton bag. Listen, I have to go. The TSA is a nightmare and the flight leaves in 3 hours. She bent down and kissed my forehead. Her lips felt dry, chilly, and perfunctory. Johnny, don't be too theatrical. You're a large man. You're strong. You will be okay. She picked up her luggage and left. She didn't glance back. She didn't think twice. The door hissed shut, and the quiet that followed was thicker than the 4 tons of steel that had crushed me. I was 32 years old and a project manager, clear's throat, who had designed buildings that would last for 100 years. A man who was proud of being able to handle stress and solve problems. He knew I had just been thrown away in exchange for a margarita and a tan. At that point, the anguish changed. It was more than simply the ribs now. It wasn't the broken tibia or the bruised organs. It was when I realized that I was only an alternative, a backup plan, a safety net she could ignore until she needed it. And she was about to learn what happens when you treat a nice man like a backup plan. Hospitals at night are a unique brand of hell. The beeping never stops. Machines that keep an eye on your heart rate, oxygen levels, and everything else. The hallway lights stay on, and a narrow yellow line of light comes through the door. You have to describe your agony all over again to a new nurse every 8 hours. They ask you to rate your pain on a scale of 1 to 10. And you think, which pain? The ribs that feel like someone's standing on my chest? The leg that throbs every time my heart beats, or the realization that I'm lying here alone because my girlfriend chose a vacation. I couldn't move my left leg. The cast went from my toes to my hip, and it weighed 1,000 pounds. My chest felt like it was wrapped in barbed wire every time I breathed. Every cough was agony. Every shift in position sent lightning bolts through my rib cage. I kept checking my phone, thumb hovering over the message thread with Mia. Have a safe flight. Typed. Deleted. I'm in a lot of pain. Typed. Deleted. Why did you leave me? Typed. Stared at it for a long time. Deleted. I wasn't going to beg. I still had some dignity left. She made her choice. I had to accept it. Even if it felt like swallowing glass, even if it hurt worse than the broken bones. Around midnight, I opened Instagram. I knew I shouldn't. I knew nothing good would come of it. But hospitals at night make you do stupid things. The loneliness creeps in and you start looking for evidence that someone somewhere cares that you exist. There it was. A story posted by Olivia. Boomerang of 2 fruity drinks clinking against a sunset backdrop. The ocean behind them was impossibly blue. The sunset was pink and gold and perfect. Caption. Healing era starts now. Girls Trip 2024. Cabo. Mia's hand was in the frame. I recognized the ring on her finger. The turquoise band I bought her in Santa Fe last year during that road trip we took for our anniversary. $340 from a local artisan who told me the stone represented loyalty and protection. He said it would bring good fortune to our relationship. Ironic. I threw the phone onto the bedside table. It slid off and hit the floor with a crack. Couldn't reach it. I couldn't even sit up without my ribs screaming. I stared at it on the floor for 20 minutes. The screen lighting up occasionally with notifications I couldn't see. Feeling a tear slide down my cheek. Not from sadness, from pure concentrated frustration. I was a man who built skyscrapers, who managed million-dollar budgets and 100-person crews, who solved problems for a living. And I couldn't even pick up my own phone. A nurse came in around 2 a.m. Her name tag said Brenda. She looked like she'd been doing this job since before I was born. No nonsense. Strong hands, eyes that had seen everything. You're awake, she stated, checking the monitors. Heart rate's up. You hurting a bit? I lied. It was an 8 out of 10. She adjusted something on the 4-pump, then noticed the phone on the floor. She walked over, picked it up, and placed it on the tray table within my reach. Girlfriend didn't come back? She asked. No, she had a prior engagement. Brenda snorted. Must be some engagement. The president coming to town. Cabo girls trip. Brenda froze. She looked at me, then at the chart, then back at me. Her expression softened just a fraction. Well, she said slowly. That's a choice. Yeah, it's a choice. You got anyone else? Family? Parents are gone. Brother lives in London. We're not close. Friends? I thought about it. I had work buddies. Guys I'd grab lunch with. But who do you call at 2 a.m. when you can't wipe your own face? Yeah, I said finally. I got a friend. I called Mark at 7 a.m. sharp. He answered on the second ring. Johnny. His voice was growly. I'd woken him up. Boss said you got flattened. You alive? Barely. Listen, man. I need a favor. Name it. I need some stuff for my apartment. Charger, laptop, maybe some underwear that isn't made of paper. There was a pause. Where's Mia? I didn't answer. Johnny, where is Mia? Cabo. Silence. Then Cabo. Like Mexico. Cabo. Yeah, I'm coming down. Mark showed up 2 hours later. He didn't bring flowers. He brought a greasy paper bag from my favorite burger joint, which I couldn't eat because of the surgery, but the gesture counted. He also brought a duffel bag full of my clothes and my laptop. He sat in the uncomfortable plastic chair and stared at me for a long moment. She left you? It wasn't a question, he said. She said the tickets were non-refundable. Mark let out a laugh that sounded like a bark. My truck is non-refundable, Johnny. If I crash it, I don't leave it in the ditch and go to Disney World. That woman is a vulture. She's just selfish. She thinks I'm tough. She thinks I can handle it. You are tough, but you're not Wolverine. You got crushed by 4 tons of steel. You need help. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. You want me to change the locks? Not yet. You're soft, Johnny. You build bridges that can withstand hurricanes. But you let this girl walk all over you because she's pretty and she laughs at your jokes. I'm handling it. Sure you are. That's why you're lying here alone while she's out partying on a beach. Mark visited every day after that. He didn't stay long, had shifts to run, but he checked in, brought me updates from the site, made jokes about the nurses, made me feel human again. His wife, Sarah, even came once, brought me homemade soup and a stern lecture about not letting that girl back in your life. I was starting to see I had better people around me than I realized. I'd just been too focused on the wrong person to notice. Mia texted once a day. Short, breezy messages that felt like afterthoughts. Thinking of you. Hope the food isn't too gross. Olivia says, hi, we're going snorkeling. The service here is awful. Might not answer for a while. Love you. I stopped replying after day 2. Dr. Evans came in on day 4 with his clipboard and that carefully neutral expression doctor's master in medical school. Good news and bad news, Johnny. Give me both. Ribs are setting nicely. No surgery needed for the spleen. The bleeding stopped on its own, but the leg, he pulled up the x-rays on the monitor. The swelling is down, but the fracture is complex. You're looking at 8 weeks in a cast, then another 4 in a boot minimum. You won't be able to drive. You can't tackle stairs. My apartment is on the 3rd floor. Then you can't go home. Not unless you have someone strong enough to basically carry you up and someone to stay with you 24/7 for the first week to help you get around. I thought about Mia even if she was here. She weighed 120 pounds soaking wet and complained if she had to carry 2 bags of groceries from the car. I'll figure it out, I said. That night I texted Mark. Doc says I can't do stairs. I need a place to crash for a week or 2 once I'm out. His reply came back instantly. Spare room is yours. Sarah's already making a casserole. She's excited to badmouth Mia to your face. I smiled. It was the first time I'd smiled in 4 days. Mia came back on a Tuesday, exactly 1 week after the accident. I was still in the hospital, scheduled for discharge the next morning. I was sitting up eating the rubbery eggs they served for lunch when she breezed through the door. She looked great, tan, glowing, hair lighter from the sun. She brought the smell of coconut lotion and duty-free perfume into the sterile room. Babe! She dropped her bags and rushed over, trying to hug me. I held up a hand. Careful, ribs? She stopped, pouted, and settled for patting my good arm. God, I missed you so much. It was terrible to be away from you when you were like this. Looked terrible on Instagram, I said flatly. That catamaran looked grueling. She stiffened. I was trying to make the best of a bad situation. Olivia needed cheering up. Is Olivia okay? Did she survive the trauma of being single for a week? You don't have to be sarcastic. It was hard for me, too. I was worried sick, were you? Because you didn't call. You didn't. You texted 3 times in 6 days. The service was spotty. You posted 14 stories, Mia. The service seemed fine for uploading 4K video of parasailing. She stepped back, crossing her arms. The tan lines on her shoulders stood out against her white top. Okay, so you're going to be like that. I get it. You're cranky. You've been cooped up, but I'm here now. I'm ready to take care of you. I'm getting discharged tomorrow, I said. Great. I'll drive us home. I bought some scented candles to get the hospital smell out of your clothes. I'm not going home, she paused. What? I can't do stairs, doctor's orders. And since you're the only one at the apartment and you can't lift a suitcase, let alone a grown man, I can't stay there. So where are you going? Mark's place. He has a guest room on the 1st floor. Mark, your Harry Foreman friend. You're going to stay with him instead of me? He offered. You were in Mexico. But I'm back now. We can figure it out. We can get a hotel. Who pays for the hotel? Mia? She blinked. Well, I mean, we have savings. No, I have savings. You have a tan. Her face went red. Why are you being so mean? I came here straight from the airport. I didn't even go home to shower. You want a medal? I shifted, the pain in my leg flaring up, but I pushed through it. I needed to say this while I had the nerve. You left me, Mia. I was bleeding internally. They weren't sure if I was going to keep my spleen. And you left to go party with Olivia because you didn't want to lose $3,000. You did the math. You looked at me lying in this bed, looked at the money, and picked the money. That is not fair. It was a mental health thing. Stop saying that. I snapped. My voice cracked, startling both of us. It wasn't mental health. It was selfishness. You showed me exactly where I stand on your priority list. I'm below Olivia, below a vacation, below your Instagram feed, and definitely below $3,000. I love you, she said, tears instantly welling up. She was good at that. The instant tears. I'd seen her use them to get out of a parking ticket once. I made a mistake. Okay, I'm sorry, but don't punish me for it. I'm not punishing you, I said quietly. I'm firing you. The room went dead silent. Just the steady beep of the heart monitor. Beep, beep, beep. What? She whispered. I'm done, Mia. We're done. You're breaking up with me. Now, while you're on painkillers, I'm clearer than I've ever been. When I get out of here tomorrow, Mark is picking me up. I want you out of the apartment by the weekend. You can't do that. I live there. My name's on the lease. I pay the rent. You're a guest. That's what you told the landlord so they wouldn't run a credit check on you. Remember? She stared at me, mouth open. The victim act was dropping, replaced by something else. Real panic. Not the I'm worried about my boyfriend kind. The where am I going to live kind. Johnny, please. You're overreacting. This is the trauma talking. Let's just talk about this when you're home and feeling better. No, I'm done talking. Go to Olivia's. She owes you, right? You supported her through her breakup. Let her support you. She lives in a studio. There's no room. Sounds like a her problem or a you problem. Definitely not a me problem anymore. You're being heartless. I'm being a man who finally woke up. I looked at the ceiling. The same ceiling I'd stared at when she walked out 7 days ago. Get out, Mia. She stood there for a long minute, maybe 2, cycling through emotions, anger, sadness, disbelief, bargaining. She waited for me to crack, to apologize, to tell her I didn't mean it. I just kept staring at the ceiling. Finally, she grabbed her bags. You're going to regret this, she said from the doorway. You're going to realize you threw away 2 years over one mistake. I realized I wasted 2 years on a mistake. Goodbye, Mia. She stormed out. The door hissed shut behind her. And for the first time since the accident, I took a deep breath that didn't hurt. The next 6 weeks were brutal but honest. I stayed at Mark's place. Their house was a modest 3-bedroom ranch in the suburbs. Nothing fancy, but it was home. Mark and Sarah had been married for 12 years. No kids, just 2 dogs named Chunk and Brutus, who immediately adopted me as their new favorite human. The spare room on the first floor had its own bathroom and a window that looked out onto the backyard. Sarah had put fresh sheets on the bed, hung up a little air freshener, even put a TV on the dresser so I could watch something besides the ceiling. The first week was hard. I needed help with everything. Getting out of bed, getting to the bathroom, getting dressed. Mark took time off work, used his vacation days without being asked. Sarah managed the household like a general running a military operation, meal schedules, medication schedules, physical therapy, exercises. She even printed out a chart and taped it to the fridge. You're worse than a patient, I told her once. You're a warden. Wardens get results, she said. You want to walk again or not? Mark and I spent evenings watching sports and playing cards, poker, mostly penny stakes. He'd crack jokes about my pathetic attempt to use crutches, about how the hospital gown looked better than my usual wardrobe, about how I'd finally grown a spine, even if my real spine was still held together with prayers and ibuprofen. I lost about $14 to him over those 6 weeks. Worst investment of my life, but also the best. The firm was amazing, too. Full disability coverage kicked in immediately. For $1,800 a month while I recovered. Plus, they held my position, even promoted me on paper so I'd come back to a better title and a 15% raise. My boss called once a week to check in. Said the site wasn't the same without me. The guys on the crew took up a collection. Gave me a card signed by everyone with $600 cash inside. I tried to refuse it. Mark said, "Take the money, idiot. You saved Ray's life." That engineer would be dead if you hadn't shoved him out of the way. I hadn't thought about it that way, but I took the money. Almost dying on the job has its perks, Mark said dryly. Mia tried to contact me. Text messages turned into essays filled with excuses and justifications and requests that range from reasonable to ridiculous. I miss you. I'm staying on Olivia's couch and my back hurts. Can we just get coffee? I promise I'll pay you back for the trip money. You're being unreasonable. Everyone thinks so. I talked to your coworker Dave. He says you're different now. Cold. I blocked her number on day 3 at Mark's place. Blocked her on Instagram, on Facebook. Blocked Olivia too for good measure. Clean break. No loose ends. No opportunities for her to worm her way back in with sad eyes and empty promises. But she wasn't done trying. About 2 weeks in, I got a text from an unknown number. This is Mia's sister. She's really struggling. You should talk to her. I blocked that number too. Then emails started coming. Long rambling essays about how I was punishing her for one mistake and how 2 years should count for something and how she gave up so much to be with me. I forwarded them all to a folder labeled evidence in case I ever needed them for a restraining order. Never replied to a single one. About a month after the accident, I went back to the apartment. Mark drove. He brought 2 other guys from the crew, big guys named Pete and Darnell, who owed me favors. I was still on crutches, couldn't carry anything, but I wanted to be there, wanted to see it with my own eyes. The place was a disaster. Mia had moved out technically, but she hadn't cleaned. There were stains on the carpet that weren't there before, trash overflowing from the bin. The fridge had old food rotting in it. She'd taken the TV, which I paid $1,400 for. Took the coffee maker, took the nice sheets, left the cheap stuff. Classy, Mark said, looking at the empty spot on the wall where the 65-in used to be. Let her have it, I said, leaning on my crutches. Consider it a severance package. I found a note on the kitchen counter. Her handwriting, dramatic cursive. I hope you're happy. You ruined everything because you couldn't handle me having a life. You're going to die alone, Johnny. I crumpled it up, tore it in half for good measure, and threw it in the trash with the rest of the garbage she'd left behind. We loaded up my stuff, the important things, my tools, my clothes, the photo albums from my parents, my grandfather's watch. Everything that actually mattered fit in the back of Mark's truck. I called the landlord that afternoon, told him I wasn't renewing the lease. He asked if I wanted to try to get my security deposit back despite the damage. How much damage? I asked. He paused. There's some stains on the carpet and the bathroom door has a hole in it. Looks like someone punched it. I laughed. First genuine laugh in weeks. Keep the deposit. I don't want to deal with her. Smart man, he said. I bought a house 2 months later. Small place outside the city, ranch style, no stairs. That was the main requirement. I never wanted to be in a position again where stairs determined where I could sleep. The house had a big yard, mature trees, a 2-car garage, and a porch that faced west so I could watch the sunsets. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, just me. Used $60,000 from my savings for the down payment. 20% down on a $300,000 house. The mortgage was manageable, $1,847 a month. Way less than I'd been paying in rent for that apartment in the city. I finally understood what people meant when they said home ownership builds wealth. Every month, part of that payment went into my own pocket instead of a landlord. I put everything in my name, the house, the utilities, my bank accounts. Learned that lesson. Never again would someone have access to something I'd built without earning it. My leg healed slowly but steadily. 8 weeks in the cast, then 4 more in the boot, just like Dr. Evans predicted. Physical therapy 3 times a week at a clinic near Mark's house. A woman named Jackie pushed me harder than any drill sergeant. Pain is weakness leaving the body, she'd say while I grimaced through leg lifts. Also, your glutes are weak. We're fixing that too. By month 4, I was walking without crutches. Just a slight limp that the therapist said would fade with time and consistent exercise. I started going to the gym again. Nothing crazy. Light weights, stationary bike, swimming when my leg could handle it. I'd never been in great shape before. Always too busy with work to prioritize it. But now I had something to prove to myself mostly. I went back to work on light duty first. Desk work, paperwork, reviewing plans and schedules, then full duty back on sites, walking the floors, checking progress. The promotion came through 3 weeks after I returned. Senior project manager, $165,000 base, plus bonuses that could push me over $200,000 in a good year. I'd be overseeing multiple projects now, not just running single sites. More responsibility, more money, more respect. The guys on the crew threw me a little party when I came back. Someone made a cake that said, "He's alive." Barely. Another guy printed out a picture of a steel beam with a red X through it and taped it above my desk. Beam-proof zone, it said. Mark gave a speech that was mostly insults about my cooking and my taste in women. Everyone laughed. I laughed. It was perfect. I heard things through the grapevine, small industry, mutual acquaintances, that sort of thing. Some of it from the guys at work who knew people who knew people. Some of it from social media because even though I'd blocked her, mutual friends would occasionally send me screenshots with messages like, "You seeing this?" Or "LOL karma." Mia and Olivia had a massive falling out after living together for 2 weeks. The mental health retreat energy didn't translate to being a good roommate. Mia left dishes in the sink. Mia used Olivia's expensive shampoo. Mia expected Olivia to feed her while she got back on her feet. Olivia, it turns out, wasn't so supportive when she had to actually share her space and her stuff. There was screaming. There was a broken lamp. Someone called the building security. Mia got kicked out with 24 hours notice. She posted a whole Instagram story about fake friends and people who abandon you when you need them most. The irony was lost on her. Obviously, she bounced to her sister's place next. Her sister, Amanda, lived in a townhouse with her husband, Greg, and their 2 kids. They let Mia crash in the basement for a month. But Greg, who I'd only met twice and seemed like a reasonable guy, apparently put his foot down after he caught Mia raiding their pantry at 2 a.m. and found out she wasn't looking for a job. She was watching Netflix 14 hours a day. One of the crew guys told me he knew Greg from a softball league, wouldn't lift a finger, wouldn't even watch the kids for an hour so Amanda could run errands. Greg told Amanda it was her or him. Amanda chose her husband. Smart woman. Last I heard, Mia was staying with some new guy she met on a dating app. Some dude named Jason who worked in sales and had a boat. She'd moved in with him after 3 weeks of dating. Good luck to him. He'll need it. Her car got repossessed about 3 months after we split the Mazda. The fully loaded one that she just had to have. Turns out when I stopped paying her car note, she just didn't pay it. Didn't even try to negotiate a payment plan. Didn't try to sell it. Just ignored the bills, the calls, the letters until they came and toted it out of her new boyfriend's driveway in the middle of the day. Jason apparently didn't know she was broke. That was an interesting conversation. I felt nothing when I heard that. Not satisfaction, not pity, just nothing. Like hearing about a stranger's car trouble. That's how I knew I was really over it. But there's one detail I never told anyone. Not even Mark. It happened the day Mia came back from Cabo. The day I broke up with her. After she stormed out, Brenda came in to check my vitals. She'd been standing at the nurse's station just outside my door. She heard everything. She wrapped the blood pressure cuff around my arm and gave me a look. Not pity. Something else. Respect, maybe. Pulse is high, she said. Just had an argument. I heard. She smiled slightly. Good for you, honey. You just shed about 130 pounds of dead weight. I chuckled, but it hurt. Yeah, I guess I did. Brenda checked the monitor, wrote something down. Then she hesitated, tapped her pen on the clipboard. When she spoke again, her voice was lower. When she was here that first day before she left for Mexico. Yeah. She stopped at the nurse's station on her way out. I was there. I felt a cold prickle run down my neck. Did she ask about my prognosis? Brenda shook her head slowly. No. She asked about the parking validation. What? We validate parking for immediate family visiting critical patients. Saves about $12 a day. She asked if she could get a pass for the whole week. I stared at her. But she wasn't going to be here. She was leaving. I know, Brenda said, her eyes hard. I told her the pass is only for days you actually visit. You know what she asked next? Tell me. She asked if she could just take the ticket and stamp it herself for when she came back so she wouldn't have to pay for the day she picked you up. The words hung in the air. She was haggling over $12, Brenda continued softly. While you were lying here with a tube in your chest, she wasn't worried about you. She was worried about $12. I closed my eyes. $12. She'd been willing to leave me bleeding and alone, but she wasn't willing to pay for parking. Thanks, Brenda, I whispered. No problem, sweetie. You rest now. She patted my arm gently. You got a better life waiting for you. And she was right. It's been 8 months since the accident. Last weekend, I ran into Mia at the hardware store. First time I'd seen her since the hospital. I was picking up lumber for a shed I'm building in the backyard. She was there with Jason, the boat guy. He looked exhausted. She was complaining about paint samples being too beige. She saw me first, froze in the middle of the aisle with a can of primer in her hand. Johnny, I nodded. Mia. Jason looked between us. Wait, this is the ex? Yeah, that's him, she said loudly enough for the people in the next aisle to hear. The one who almost died and still dumped me from his hospital bed. I didn't take the bait. I just grabbed my lumber and headed toward the checkout. She followed me, of course. You look different, she said. You've been working out, physical therapy, doctor's orders. I heard you bought a house and got promoted. I did. She was quiet for a second. Then, if you hadn't been so dramatic about Cabo, we could have worked it out. We were good together. I stopped walking, turned around. Jason was hanging back, watching. Mia, I was in the ICU with a tube in my chest, and you haggled over $12 parking on your way out the door. Her face went pale. Who told you that? Doesn't matter. What matters is you showed me exactly who you were and I finally paid attention. I nodded at Jason. Good luck, man. You're going to need it. I paid for my lumber and left. Didn't look back. That night, Rachel came over. She's the woman I've been seeing for 2 months now. Met her at a barbecue through Mark and Sarah. She's a physical therapist with her own practice, drives a paid-off Honda, and has never once asked me to cover a bill. I told her about running into Mia, told her what I said. You really told her that about the $12? Yeah. What did she do? Stood there like I'd slapped her. Rachel laughed, poured herself some lemonade, and stretched out on the deck chair next to mine. You know what I like about you, Johnny? My devastating good looks. Your complete lack of tolerance for nonsense. She clinked her glass against my soda. It's refreshing. The house is coming together. I built a fence last month. Cedar 6 feet high. Stained it myself. Built the deck over 3 days with Mark, Pete, and Darnell. Sarah supervised from a lawn chair with sweet tea. I've got a Weber Genesis grill on it now. Cookout every Sunday. Work is good. Senior project manager. $165,000 base. I'm overseeing 3 projects simultaneously. The guys threw me a party when I came back. Made a cake that said, "He's alive." Barely. Someone taped a picture of a steel beam with a red X over my desk. Beam proof zone. 2 weeks ago, I got a call from the firm's insurance company. The settlement from the accident finally came through. $127,000 after legal fees. Enough to pay off the mortgage early if I want or invest it and let it grow. I'm leaning toward investing. I got time now. I'm not in a rush anymore. Last I heard, Mia and Jason broke up 3 weeks after I saw them at the hardware store. Apparently, he found out about some credit card debt she'd racked up in his name. 30 grand. She claimed it was a misunderstanding. He didn't buy it. Kicked her out the same day. She's back on her sister's couch. Amanda took her in again, but only for 30 days. After that, she's on her own. The Mazda's long gone, her credit's destroyed. She's 30 years old with no savings, no car, and a reputation for being the girl who left her boyfriend in the ICU for a beach trip. Me? I'm 33 with a house, a promotion, a settlement check, and a woman who brings me homemade pasta on Tuesdays because she wants to, not because she needs something. Sunday night, Rachel and I grilled steaks on the deck. Mark and Sarah came over. We played cards until midnight. I won $8. Mark accused me of cheating. Sarah said I deserved it after everything I'd been through. When everyone left, Rachel stayed to help clean up. We stood at the sink together, her washing, me drying. "This is nice," she said. "The dishes, the house, the yard, the friends." She handed me a plate. "You built a good life here, Johnny." "I'm working on it," she said with a smile. "You're doing more than working on it. You're living it." That night after she went home, I sat on the porch with the lights off. The crickets were loud. The stars were out. My leg didn't hurt anymore. 8 months ago, I was lying in a hospital bed alone, watching my girlfriend's vacation photos on Instagram while I tried to pick my phone up off the floor. Now I've got a house, a career, friends who show up, and a woman who stays to do dishes. Some things really are non-refundable. Guys, we are so close to hit 1,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 1,000 mark.